So, Frankenstein is the latest film from director Guillermo del Toro, in which we follow a brilliant yet an egotistical scientist portrayed by Oscar Isaac, who conducts a monstrous experiment that brings a creature back to life, although unfortunately, what comes as a result of this are consequences for its creator and his creation. And before I continue on with today's video, let's also start our conversation below. Have you all seen Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein yet? Did you guys like the film? Did you hate the film? Did you love the film? Let me know below. Alright everybody, let's get into Frankenstein.
Excellent!
Frankenstein for me was one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year, and that's because of two particular reasons. For those of you who saw one of my previous years for Halloween horror reviews, I did review the original Frankenstein film, and the original Frankenstein was one of my favorite movies of all time. And the second reason being that this version was being directed by Guillermo del Toro, who is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Really quick, before I continue on and say anything else, I just want to really quick say how grateful I am that my local theater was showing this movie, so I had the chance to go into an actual movie theater rather than waiting for Netflix. Because don't get me wrong when I say this to you guys, I can only imagine that this movie would still look glorious on Netflix, because my TV is a 4K OLED TV that does have Dolby Vision, so I can only imagine how the film will look on my TV when I do see it at home. I am so grateful that I got the chance to see this at my local movie theater, so I got to see this movie at and on a big movie screen with surround sound, and man, gotta tell you all, Frankenstein was the movie I was hoping for, and then some. All of the performances in this movie are all spectacular. Whether you're talking about Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz, amongst the others, even Ralph Ineson has a cameo in this movie, and he has a great scene in this movie, but there are two in particular that I want to give time to. The first of which being Oscar Isaac, who portrays Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who I thought was just absolutely magnetic in this film. Oscar Isaac does such a phenomenal job of portraying this character that wants not only, cheat death, but he wants to prove that he can in fact play God. And not only that, but showing the madness of this character and showing the obsession that yes, that he can in fact do these things, but yet to what consequence. What Oscar Isaac brought to this interpretation of Victor Frankenstein, I just really thought was a great job of what he did, of exploring further of the madness and the obsession of Dr. Frankenstein. Jacob Elordi blew me away in this film. Jacob Elordi does such a phenomenal job multiple times, by the way, throughout this film, of just communicating throughout his grunts and with just acting his eyes alone. There are sequences in this movie where, yes, the monster is a scary creature, absolutely yes, but it's a monster in which, like I've mentioned in my review of not only Frankenstein, but also Bride of Frankenstein when I talked about that movie on Halloween, showcasing not only the loneliness of the monster, which Boris Karloff did excellently, there's also a couple of other things that Jacob Elordi does that I dare say rank up with Boris Karloff, which I know is high praise that might sound like I'm overhyping, but believe me when I say this, guys, Jacob Elordi portrays the pain, the anger, and not just the loneliness, but that feeling of just wanting to feel accepted. I thought was just generally such a moving and a soulful performance that really a couple of times when he was on screen, it did bring me to tears. Like I mentioned y'all earlier, Guillermo del Toro is one of the greatest directors working right now. Guillermo del Toro is just one of those filmmakers that when you see a movie of his in the theater, you know you're getting something special. Whether that's Pan's Labyrinth, the Hellboy movies, Blade 2, Pacific Rim, Shape of Water. You know you're not just getting an event of a film, but you're just getting something that was not only designed for the big screen, but you're getting something special. Within the opening couple of minutes, especially the opening shot of this film, which is this big, sweeping, epic shot of this boat that Guillermo del Toro and his cinematographer Dan Lawson, who I will talk about in a moment. Within the opening couple of minutes, I was locked in, and I was locked in throughout this 2.5 hour epic Gothic odyssey. What Guillermo del Toro does so well with his storytelling in this movie is that he tells a story about a monster with humanity. It's a monster that actually does have this great, beautiful beating heart at its core. If you have seen Frankenstein or even Bride of Frankenstein, those movies are monster movies. They are 100% monster films. And here's the thing, while the monster in this version of Frankenstein is most definitely a monster because, the monster is, a monster, what Guillermo del Toro does so beautifully in this film is that he decides to explore the loneliness of the creature, but also showcasing the creature side of the story, which I really do think was done so geniusly throughout this film. And adding on to this, something else that Guillermo del Toro did so well is that he decides to explore not really the horror element of Frankenstein, even though there are some horror elements in this movie, but what Guillermo del Toro decides to explore further in this movie is the dramatic side of things, the gothic side of things, and the epic scale of the story. There were multiple times in which Guillermo del Toro moves the camera that I just kept thinking, oh my god, this is beautiful. Any filmmaker could make a Frankenstein movie, absolutely yes. But when it comes down to this specific story and how it's told, no one else but Guillermo del Toro could have made this Frankenstein movie and this story possible. Another thing that I absolutely adored about this movie was the cinematography, just the overall look of this film. Dan Lawson shot the hell out of this movie. Dan Lawson has shot not only such a beautiful looking film, but such a colorful looking film, and on top of all that, the impeccable production design. Seeing these big epic sets photographed by Dan Lawson and seeing these big epic events happen on a big movie screen. This movie cost over $120 million to make, and it definitely feels like a much bigger budget. It better get a best cinematography nomination. It fucking better. Another element that I loved about this movie was Alexander Desplat's musical score. Oh my god. There are really multiple words I can use to describe the score, but I'm gonna try and cut it down to 3 words. Epic, emotional, but most of all, beautiful. Alexander Desplat's musical score for Frankenstein just might be my favorite score of the year. I mean, I'm not just saying that just to say it's beautiful and it's one of the best. There were many tracks that as I was hearing them in my movie theater today, I just kept thinking in my head that I wanted the vinyl and that I wanted the musical score right away. Frankenstein's ending moved me so much that I walked out just tearing up. This movie's ending was beautiful, and it was just, I loved this ending.
Well, that's just fucking great!
Issues? I got nothing.
And here we go.
So overall, Frankenstein is a beautiful, emotional, sweeping gothic epic that I loved every second of. I walked in this movie with very high, and as a matter of fact, sky high expectations, and this movie not only met those expectations, but it exceeded them. One of my favorite movies of the year? Absolutely. All in all, I'm gonna give Frankenstein a 5 out of 5. Well, I know this movie is coming to Netflix this Friday, I completely get it, but I implore you all, please go see this movie on the big screen. It deserves to be seen in a movie theater. Go see it, guys, while it's still in theaters. I hope you enjoyed my review of Frankenstein. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you guys want to see it in my previous 2 videos, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.